This will now be my third time doing this introduction because I keep swallowing my own tongue. We're going to take a look at Rita today. It, roll the thing.
Oh, I'm so awkward. I'm so awkward.
I'm going to start up front first and have a look at wiring and suspension and things of that nature. So up front here, we've got a stock width beam that I put some air-cooled weld-in adjusters in so that I can, adjust the height of the front end. I liked this a lot more than going over to drop spindles because it allows me the adjustability that I want. I'm never going to drop this thing on its nuts. So because of that, it gave me just enough adjustability to get rid of the gap that I wanted to, and if that ends up being too low, then I can, bring it up if need be, which I may end up doing. Looks like my steering box is leaking a little bit. That probably needs to be adjusted at this point. Definitely, I need to check the front end. I had some issues last year, or the year before, with the calipers falling off, or the brackets falling off, rather, because it's an MP kit, so the quality is not great. So we're going to look at that shortly. I'm going to take the wheels off and check everything, but that's what I got going on up here. Oh, I also got from, I wonder if we can see them without the wheels on. It'll be easier when I get the wheels off, I guess. So let me do that. Let me check out the front end here. I already checked the driver's side. Driver's side's got a little bit of play in it, but this side is much worse. This has a lot of play in it. That is the kingpin. So my knuckles are going to need to be rebuilt. What's that side-to-side play coming from, though? It doesn't look like it's... Oh, no. It's also the knuckle. Okay. All right. Let me pull these wheels off. Anyway, I'm going to have a look at the suspension up here. Put my tire down. I've got some Ride shocks that I actually got custom made through air-cooled, and these are adjustable. The dampening is adjustable. The front end of this thing rides great. It's the ass end that's kind of a problem. This is all still good. I'd love to try to get some Willwood calipers on here. I just don't know if they fit the same brackets. And God knows I can't afford to get a whole thing, a whole Willwood kit, but who knows. I also, in my haste, I wanted to retain the filler for the reservoir for the brake fluid, so I made this stupid contraption. It's messy. I'm going to get rid of that and just go over to a dune buggy style reservoir. I really would like to clean up all the wiring. I'd like to try to get a bolt on that maybe actually has some thread engagement. Everything else looks like it's held up as expected, so that's nice. I think I got a Durali pump over there. So, yeah. We'll see. I really, it's a lot of cleaning up wiring. I guess I had some rubbing with the tires there. I'd like to cut that off as well because that's not doing me any favors. Yeah, so let me get the other wheel off and check out what's going on over there, and I'll get you back in when we're moving along. Well, looks like I've got a bit of a fuel leak coming off the pump there, so I'll have to do something about that. But for the most part, everything else still looks good. Tank's not leaking or nothing, so that seems to be the only issue, other than the knuckles having to be rebuilt. So, yeah, they probably need to be greased too, because I don't think I ever did that. So, I built this car in, 7 months, and the last, 2 weeks were pretty rushed, because we had to get it ready for road rally. So, all right, let me get the wheels back on, and then we'll jack up the rear and take a look on what's going on back there. I lied. We're going to look up front a bit more. I also realized that maybe I should get rid of the Massachusetts plates because those are not registered anymore. I don't live in Massachusetts anymore. Still not sure if I want to keep these wheels or not. I've always kind of been playing back and forth about other wide 5 options, either some mobile wagons or maybe BRMs or something, but I can tell you right now I'm not going to do Fuchs. Let's take a look at the trunk. As I said before in the State of the Fleet address, this is the first time I've ever wired a car, bumper to bumper, and I rushed it. I had it planned, but I rushed it. So I'm definitely going to want to do this over and make it cleaner. Oh, I guess my bumper supports are also not bolted in. I'm going to add that to the list before I forget. I'm obviously going to stay with, I'm going to keep using the blade fuse terminals, but I want to clean all this up. I'm seeing now too that I've got a lot of stuff that's disconnected. I had some issues with the wiper motor at some point. I think it was when Ben and I went up to New York with his car for the first time. I had to just make this work on the side of the road, so that has to be fixed. I want to clean all this up and make it, a lot tidier like what I did on the thing, and get a standalone connector in there that I can use. I also found some nice magnets so I can get rid of all these screws holding those in place. Yeah, so lots to do. It looks like I may end up pulling the tank and repainting that, because obviously that got destroyed from me using the trunk. I don't know if there's really a point to me doing that, considering I'm going to continue using the trunk. So, okay, what else? Oh, yeah, I don't know if I'd ever put a radio in this, an actual radio. Who knows? Something I got to do on both sides is add the door checks, because they shouldn't open this far, which is exactly why my doors, or at least this door's all mangled. I think I need hinges, because this sags a lot. And that's why the door doesn't really close great. So I may end up doing hinges. So door checks and hinges, I guess, is the next thing on the list. Uh-oh. Big surprise, wheel seals. All right. So I need axle seals. All right, so one of the other things that I want to do, because the ass end of this is sitting a lot higher than I would like. And the reason it's sitting higher than I would like is because I did actually have it where I wanted it, but because I static dropped it, the rear suspension was really hard, because when you static drop things, you lose all your preload on your torsion bars, and it just rides bad. So I'm thinking about getting some adjustable spring plates from Valley Auto Works. I'd like to get some nice JC billet covers. This is all already very expensive, the things that I just said, and I don't have any money. So we'll see how that plays out. And since I've got to do the axle seals and I've already got disc brakes in the front, I kind of also want to do disc brakes back here, but like I just said, money and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But luckily, aside from that, I don't really think there's anything else suspension-wise back here that needs to be done. I think what I'll probably end up doing in terms of the height is you can fine-tune the suspension with the inner splines of the torsion bar. So I might just click that up 1 or 2 on the inside and see if I can get this back down without losing my preload. Because it's way too high, but if I just do the outside down 1 click, it's too low where I want it, but it just rides bad. So I'll have to figure that out. I'd like to get a new hood spring on here too, because that one's obviously disgusting, but they also kind of don't really mind it all that much. Nothing really has to happen to the gearbox. It's already a rebuilt unit from Right Gearbox. This thing's been amazing. I might just do the throwout bearing to be safe, clean out the bell housing and all that. I'm sure the boots are desiccated at this point from sitting, so I may replace those. But mounts are good and all that. I'll do that firewall seal maybe, and then obviously, still do the wiring. I don't think I'll, put bulkhead connectors in the firewall the way that I did on Clementine, but I think I may make a bracket and put them up here so that I can have a standalone engine harness again. Wow. Oop. I don't know what that was. What was I talking about? It's not really much I think I want to do on the interior. I definitely want to change these gauges out. The odometers are kind of ugly. It's just what I had money for at the time, and they're not working anyway. ISP makes some really nice ones. Air-cooled accessories in the UK makes some really nice ones. Right now I have oil pressure, volts, and a tachometer. I think I'd like to go... ISP has a speedo that they have combo speedos that are speedo and tach or speedo and fuel. I think maybe I'd like to do speedo and tach, and then oil pressure, oil temperature, and then I might keep the volts. But who knows? I don't really want to go over to the 2-pod cluster because then I'd have to paint this again, and I don't think I have paint. This is obviously not factory paint. Outside of that, I'll probably keep the 911 wheel just because I have it, and it belongs to this car. And obviously I'll keep the shifter and everything. Outside of that, I don't think there's really anything that I need to do to the interior short of cleaning it and all that schmaz. I should probably get another chrome for this to match those. Yeah. Okay. Now the most important part. That means now we can look at the engine. This engine is really important to me because technically it is the first engine that I ever built. It's weird because nobody really builds this particular engine. This is a 1385, not an 1835. And the way you achieve that displacement is actually just with 40 horse big bore jugs. So the 40 horses from the factory came with 77 mil pistons and a 65 millimeter stroke, which comes out to like 1198 or something. When you go over to the big bore kit, which is an 83 millimeter piston, that brings you up to 1385 when you're still using the 65 millimeter stroke. 40 horse cases are really not all that great. The majority of them did not have cam bearings, so the cam is just riding on the case. When that wears out, then you have oil pressure issues and yada, yada, yada. I did build this on a non-cam bearing 40 horse case, so I'm amazed that it's still going. I would like to rebuild this on a 1300 case, and the reason why I want to do that is because the 1300s do have cam bearings, but the 1300s are also from the factory 77 mil pistons. The only difference really between a 40 horse and a 1300 is the stroke. Like I said, 40 horses are 65 millimeter stroke. 1300s were just 40 horses that were stroked to 69 mil. But they also had 77 mil pistons. But they had the added benefit of the cam bearings. I have some F cases. You know, if it's something I ever have the money for, maybe I will do that. I think likely I will just reseal this. Some of the other things that I did to this, I used, because of all that information I just spewed at you, I am able to use factory 1300 heads. The 1300 heads have a larger intake valve, and because of the shape of the port on the head, the intake port, you're open for more options regarding twin carbs. So when I originally had this together and in the car, I had some Brazilian Solex 34s, and I kept having issues with one of the throttles locking up. I'm not sure if it was the linkage or if it was the throttle plate in the carb. In a perfect world, I'd switch over to Weber 34 ICTs. That's actually what I have on Alla right now, and they're great. Is that at least would allow me to use vintage speed twist style linkage, or those ICTs actually come with the pull down linkage, which I actually kind of like. But, you know, that's another $700 worth of stuff that I just don't have money for, so we'll see what happens. And, you know, vintage speed exhaust, which does absolutely nothing for displacement this small. It's really just a lot of money to sound and look cool. You know, I need... everything needs to be cleaned. This thing's a mess. I'm going to end up splitting the case and resealing it. I have most of the parts. I think really the only thing I need is to find some 40 horse pushrod tubes, because those are a different size. I need a generator. Need a generator pulley. I'd like to go over to a different distributor. I don't think this 90 mil, I don't think the Curve really likes the carburetors or the engine, so I think I'm actually going to go over to an 009 so that I don't have to deal with the vacuum stuff. The 009 seem to do fine on dual carb applications anyway. Yeah, that's kind of it for this. So I got to get a list together for things I need for this, and obviously if I'm going to do the different gauges, I need some different sending units and yada yada. I got to repair the fan shroud. I had one of those Porsche style oil filters on here, and I don't think it was enough flow to keep this system oiled, because it always sounded really knocky to me. So I'm going to end up splitting the case and checking everything, and if it ends up needing bearings, then I guess we're going to really look into building this on a 1300, because why? What would be the point? I would, I'd obviously use the same crank, because if you do 83 mil pistons with a 69 millimeter crank, that's actually how they built the 1500s. And I don't want that. I like having a 1385 because nobody does it. Be nice to put like a hot cam in it too. Anyway, what am I doing? Well, I was going to end the episode here, but I got nothing better to do, so I guess let's tear the motor down. Cue the montage. All right. I'm gonna set this on the floor just for now. Cam looks pretty good, surprisingly. It's a little bit of wear right there in the middle, but nothing that I'm super concerned about. The lifters look good. Cam saddles look okay. All right, well, that's certainly surprising. I guess what I'd like to do now, I mean, I'm going to end up pulling the crank out and, you know, pulling this whole thing apart and checking all the bearings and making sure everything is good. I know for a fact that when I built this, I did not know about the bearings not lining up with the oil passages in the case. So I'm going to have to pull everything apart, clean everything, and then paint the case and see how much overlap I have. I'd love to see if I can get a cam to fit in this as well, like a hot cam, like a cheater cam or something. I think a C25 is probably going to be a bit much. I remember when I built this, I actually bought a W100 for it, and I think that was going to be too much too. That cam actually is in Ben's engine now, the one that he refuses to finish. Yeah, I guess that's it for this until I have parts to put it all back together. Now that I'm taking up even more bench space. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. It's nice to get a list together of everything that I need to get this toilet back on the road. So thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like, leave a comment, share with your friends. You can follow me on Instagram at WickedWorks, and we'll see you at the next one.